Reverend Jennifer for our weekly message and meditation.
Thank you, Patricia. One of the things I'm going to talk about today is stillness and silence. I'm really good at that, and our fourth principle, through prayer and meditation, we align our heart and mind with God. Denials and affirmations are tools that we use. We talk about prayer a lot at Unity, and our prayer list is long. And I'm grateful we have that opportunity. And what I liked was I found this set of books. I think I told y'all about 5 months ago, someone who had a year before bought out all of the things that Unity of El Paso's bookstore was closing, and he went in and bought all the stuff. Well, about 5 months ago, everything he bought, he brought to us. So we had these boxes of books, and we've slowly been bringing them over to the annex and going through them. And several of the books were written by a guy named Jim Rosemergy, and I didn't know who he was. Apparently, he used to be the executive director for Unity Worldwide. So that was before my time. And so there were some books in that box. And when I got home, there was this book on my coffee table by Jim Rosemergy, Living the Mystical Life Today. I'm not sure how it got there. I don't remember it being on my coffee table, but I got the message. So I started reading. Chapter 2 is Be Still. That caught my eye. Know God. The mystical process is one of being lifted into the awareness of God's presence. Spirit is our sufficiency, and when we are conscious of God, the challenges of life are met. Therefore, the purpose of the simple life is to know God. This brings a shocking revelation. The problem is not the issue. Our purpose is to be aware of God's presence and power. He goes on to write this little story. An image illustrates the subtleties of the pygmy's self-scheme for creative living. Figuratively speaking, God hears we are coming to visit. Now think about this in your head. It is assumed we are coming to get to know him. And the spirit of the universe is excited because finally a relationship will develop with us. The house is cleaned, tea is prepared, and spirit waits for us. And we come. We arrive dressed in our work clothes, and as God answers the door, we ask to borrow the lawnmower, for ours is broken. This illustration depicts the way we interact with God. There is no desire to form a relationship with Spirit. Instead, we have a need, and we hope God can fulfill it. Of course, usually it's not a lawnmower, but don't rule out that possibility. How many times have you prayed for your car? We ask for help in any situation which concerns us. It is also believed the Almighty is an employment agency and can find us a job, or at least come up with a certain sum of money to help with the rent. If there's a decision to be made, God shows the way. These are human wants and are to be met, but where is the relationship with God? In short, it is not existent. He goes on to talk about seek first the kingdom and awareness of the God, the relationship with Spirit. And all these things, lawnmowers, jobs, decisions, healing, marriages, and prosperity, shall be yours as well. So when I read that, it really brought home to me, how do you feel sometimes when you've got a friend who comes over and you're like, oh, great, we can sit down and chat, and they just want to borrow something. Or can I, get that from you, or I'll bring that right back, or no, I can't make it this week, but maybe next week. And so it's more like they don't want to have a relationship and talk to you. They're your friend, but they really want to borrow stuff from you all the time. And so I read that story and I felt so bad. I know, you get all ready and stuff. It's like, oh, no, I can't stay, but do you have $10 I can borrow? So part of the teaching of prayer in unity is about being in the stillness and going into the silence. And that is because we go into our meditation and prayer time to be in that relationship with God. And I know I miss it a lot. I go in and I start thinking about that relationship and being in the silence, and then I think about my prayer list, and so I get off. I'm not present with that all-divine power, that spiritual power. And I want us to remember, again, that power. We talk about the power that we have. Well, that time that we spend with God in the silence, in the stillness, just building that wonderful relationship, making it stronger, so that when you're not in meditation and you're not in the silence, that is still there. And again, that is the kingdom of God. Seek ye the kingdom first. Not where is all these wonderful things that I want. I used to think that. I used to think the kingdom was this little storage room that was, like the TARDIS, so it looks bigger on the inside than it does on the outside, and everything I wanted was there. That's not the kingdom. The kingdom is that higher God consciousness that is in with each and every one of us. And we forget about it when we are caught up in the busyness of our earthly experience. And we forget that from our higher consciousness, we can see so much more. Imagine you're looking for something, and if you're at this level, you can't really see everything. But if you go from a higher place to look at it down below, you get a better view. When we're operating in our life experience from this higher consciousness, we have a bigger view. We recognize our better potentialities. We know all of our powers and which one works best for the situation that we're trying to sort through. And that's where it brings in our joy. Because when we can see it from a higher level, we can see all the perspectives, the potentialities. We're not trying to put energy into something from a small tube. We recognize now we've got a bigger source to work with. And that makes things easier. If you've got choices, it makes things easier, right? Well, if you think, well, this is the only job I've got, and I've got to go to this every day, and there's no other opportunities for me, because you're looking at it from this level, and I recognize when you're trying to put food on the table and keep a roof over your head, you do what you've got to do. But I also ask you to please look at it also. Take a few moments. Be in that stillness. Be in that silence of prayer. Look at it from the higher level of your higher consciousness. You're allowing yourself to see more perspectives. Yes, this is what I've got to do right here, right now, but I know that when I'm looking at it from that point of higher consciousness, I can see all the other possibilities that can come to me. And I can see some of the steps I need to do look for signs. I think I might have told you all one time that my husband was in Santa Fe, and he was doing martial arts training. And he wasn't really sure what else he was going to do after he was done with training in martial arts and moving back down to Las Cruces. And he would go out to eat, and he kept seeing this advertisement from the New Mexico Healing School that's in Albuquerque. And he saw it once. He said, well, that's kind of interesting. It's for polarity therapy training. That's kind of interesting. Then he saw it again. He said, well, if I see it one more time, then I'll take action on it. And that's kind of his practice. So sure enough, he saw it again. And he went, and he didn't know how he was going to pay for it, but it turned out they had some kind of scholarship thing, and also the guy that was teaching him his martial arts at the dojo offered to let him stay there while he was going to school. And and now he's been doing polarity therapy for over 25 years. And, and it's been a good success for him. So if we can get out of that space of stress and just for a few moments, bring yourself into a place where you're having that communication with that divine spirit. You're seeing and you're moving into that consciousness, that higher consciousness, where you can take a breath, set aside the daily tensions, stresses, be in peace, stillness, oneness, and put out there what you want to see. Right now, you're in this job because you've got to put food on the table. You've got to keep a roof over your head, but it's not your ideal job. What is your heart's desire to do? What comes forth is not going to be, it might be as soon as you walk out the door, you see this wonderful opportunity for this job that you just manifested for yourself. But sometimes it takes time. But keep it in your higher consciousness. Enjoy the work you're doing to the best of your ability now. Recognize the blessing that it is not your dream job. However, it is taking care of your needs for right now. But keep in your higher consciousness that recognition that God, that divine power is working for you to help fulfill that dream of yours for the job that you love to do. That will more than take care of your bills and the things that your needs and maybe some of the things you want. It'll take more of that because you're doing something with joy and love and you're putting that into the work that you're doing and it's coming back to you tenfold and more. It is, our prayer and meditation time is so important. Even if it's 5 or 10 minutes. If you can eke out 30, that's great too. All right? Because it's so precious to have that oneness time together. It's like that time that you spend with your puppies or your kitties or your kids or your grandmas. That special time is needed to keep the relationship strong. And we want that relationship with God to be strong. And not just for, well, what can you do for me today? But because I know it's the oneness that's within me, and I operate through it all the time. I'm more aware of it personally myself on Sundays, but I know that God energy is working through everything I do. And when I am working with it and aware that it's happening and giving it time to come out and do its work, then I see the flow. I see things happen more smoothly. I love watching it at play in my other job because I'm like, well, I've got all these meetings stacked up, and sure enough, man, one of them somebody else cancels. It's like, yeah. I didn't have to do anything. I just have to know it's all going to work out because God is good all the time. So I encourage you to embrace peace and stillness, even it seems to be not in your nature. And when you go into the stillness and the silence, bring cookies to go with that tea that has been prepared for you. And be ready to sit down for a wonderful time together with your God higher consciousness. And we take a comfortable breath and let your body soften. Your feet are on the floor, your back is against the chair, you're fully supported. You can relax. Let your shoulders relax. Let the space around your heart open and allow your mind to rest. There is nothing to accomplish in this moment, nothing to figure out, nothing to fix. Just be here and breathe. As you settle, imagine that your breath is gently clearing space within you, like a slow wind brushing through a quiet room, making room for presence. Let the breath drop down into your belly and then release. And now, let the world fall away for a moment. The noise of the week, the conversations, the news, the responsibilities. Let it all drift away to the very edge of your awareness, like scenes fading into the distance. You don't need them right now. You only need this breath, this moment, this stillness. Feel yourself entering a deep quiet. Not the quiet around you, but the quiet within you. The silence. This is the sacred interior place, the still center, the point where God meets with you without words, without effort, without any barrier at all. Let yourself rest in that holy simplicity. We gently affirm, in the silence, I find God. In the stillness, I remember who I am. As we move into the silence, we listen not for a message or a sentence, but for a knowing, a presence, a deep inner assurance that we are not alone and have never been alone. As you rest here, know this truth. The silence is not empty. It is full, full of the life that breathes you, the love that sustains you, the wisdom that guides you. And you can return here at any time. Take a slow breath in and feel your awareness rise gently back to this room. Exhale and bring with you the peace of this inner stillness. When you are ready, open your eyes.
What am I here for? This is a song that I wrote almost exactly a year ago, but I've only played it a very few times because it's a seasonal song. It's for the fall. And the lyrics are they're metaphorical lyrics. They're metaphors throughout the song. And the reason why that I used metaphors is because my first songwriting teacher, Al Ligori, he said, Doug, metaphors be with you. Sorry. Well, okay.
I'm a little slow again.
It has, in along with all the metaphors, it has some very practical advice. I know this has never happened to you. It's so obvious, really. The practical advice is so obvious that it's almost funny. But I know it's never happened to you, but in my life, there's been a few times when I've made the same mistake multiple times. And so these are just little reminders in the song. And one other thing I'd like to say before we start. I am so happy to have Dwight and Jeff, master musicians, playing along with me. And also Ken over there working this stuff. He does more for this community here than you can imagine. Autumn is here, and I'm trimming trees, branches that once were laden with leaves. Now some are dry and gray and brittle, just dead weight on my desert willow. Be careful when trimming the limbs that are green, the ones that will bloom with the coming of spring. I'm sure to leave some scars behind. If the cut is clean, they'll all heal with time. Don't sit on a branch when you saw it. Don't stand underneath when it falls. If the blade is sharp and you cut on the mark, this tree is gonna be so beautiful and tall. When you're done, roughly measure and chop them and stash them where they'll get even drier. On the coldest night of the winter, by God, they'll make a nice fire. Comes a time for cutting and trimming, for pruning what no longer serves. If you wring out the old, you can ring in the new, and follow that new road wherever it swerves. Autumn is here, and I'm trimming trees, branches that once were laden with leaves. Now some are dry and gray and brittle, just dead weight on my desert willow.